Hello, Mr. Thomas. Hello, Chantel. Hello, RC. Hello, Eddie Flynn.
Hi, Mr. Chair.
President.
Hello, Aaron. And I think, is Candace on?
It's Candace.
Happy birthday, Candace.
Thank you so much.
I can't wait till we can properly wish you a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it nonetheless.
Excellent.
So we are live on YouTube, Mr. Chair. Whenever you're ready, I can start recording on our other platforms and we'll be all set to go.
All right. I am, Francis, is Emily joining us as well, or just you? Oh, I think you're muted.
Yes, she's going to join us.
Okay.
I was just on the call with her a couple of minutes ago, and she's printing some paperwork.
Oh, then
she will join us.
Sure, we can wait a moment for her to join. And
apologies
that I'm not wearing a suit. I'm jumping in the last minute, but it's like riding a bike. So hopefully I won't forget.
It's a beautiful day.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It is. It is.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thomas, and good afternoon to Councilor O'Malley.
Good afternoon, Councilor Flynn, or the voice of Councilor Flynn. I see a desk, but I don't see that handsome mug. There it is.
Yes, I think I'm having problems with my screen for some reason.
How are you, Councilor?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Thomas. How are you?
It's a beautiful day.
It's a great day out.
Always, always, always. I love New England weather.
Right, right. It's good to be with you, Mr. Thomas.
It's always a pleasure, Councilor.
I will send a quick text to the...
Hi, counselors.
Hi, Kamesh. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
I'm glad the screen changed because I didn't think anyone could hear or see me.
It's great to see you, Melissa, as well. So, Candace, I think we will get started if you are ready.
Perfect. I'm all ready to go.
Fabulous. Thank you. And just Commish, Mr. Thomas, Ms. Carlson, it's myself and Councilor Flynn. Perhaps some more councilors may join us, but we're just delighted to have this opportunity to hear a little bit more about this important funding stream and the good use that Age Strong is going to use to oversee it. So, Commissioner, I was apologizing to Francis earlier. I'm coming from the Jamaica Pond stocking of the pond, which is why I'm in my civilians today. But
oh, I love that. Nice.
Thank you. All right, here we go. Hi, and welcome to the Boston City Council. My name is Matt O'Malley. I am the Council President pro tempore, and I am also the Vice Chair of the Committee on Strong Women, Families, and Communities. Today, we are discussing a number of dockets, 7 or 8 of them, in fact, which are some really important funding streams. Many of these we've discussed in years past when I chaired the committee, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to hear updates and also see added expenditures for the fiscal year ahead. We're joined by 3 terrific public servants, Emily Shea, who is the Elderly Commission of the Age Strong Commission, formerly known as the Elderly Commission. She is the Commissioner of the Age Strong Commission, and she is joined by Francis Thomas, Deputy Commissioner of A&F, Administration and Finance of Age Strong, and Melissa Carlson, who is the Deputy Commissioner of Advocacy and Planning for Age Strong as well. Do not adjust your computer screens. Councilor Liz Braden is the wonderful chair of this committee, but she's unable to join us. She's asked me to read this letter into the record before we get started. Dear President pro tempore O'Malley, due to an unavoidable last-minute family situation, I regrettably will not be able to chair today's Committee on Strong Women, Families, and Communities hearing on dockets 0550 through 0557, various grants to be administered by the Age Strong Commission. I ask that you or your designee chair the hearing in my absence. My staff will be in attendance to take notes. The work of Age Strong Commission and Senior Services and Elder Affairs is greatly important, and I look forward to continuing to support the initiatives. Please extend my regrets to the committee members, counselors, administration, representatives, and members of the public in attendance. I kindly ask that you read this letter into the record. So thank you. Allow me to again pass along the regrets of Counselor Braden, who is staff watching, and I will be discussing this early next week. Additionally, this hearing is being recorded and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, FiOS Channel 964, as well as live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv. We will, of course, take public testimony at the end of the hearing. If anyone watching this would like to testify, please email Ron Cobb, that's ron.cobb@boston.gov for the link, and follow along on the live stream to know when it's your turn to speak. Of course, please state your name and affiliation or residence and limit your comments to a few minutes to ensure that all comments and concerns are heard. Of course, we will take as much testimony as people wish to share. Today, we'll be discussing 8 grants under the Strong Women, Families, Communities Committee to administered by the Age Strong Commission. And before we get into the presentation from Commissioner Shea and her colleagues, I'd like to acknowledge that we've been joined by Ed Flynn, the district counselor from District 2. Counselor Flynn, did you have any opening remarks?
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley, to Mr. Thomas, to Ms. Carlson and Commissioner Shea, exceptional, dedicated, and professional city workers. And looking forward to learning more about these funding opportunities, and just want to say thank you to these dedicated and professional city employees that we have today. Thank you, Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Counselor Flynn. And again, as if any other counselors join us, we will, of course, allow them an opportunity to offer some opening remarks or some remarks in support of Age Strong. But Commish, why don't we get started? Again, since many of these are repeat grants, it's probably better if maybe we go one at a time. You could give a brief overview and let us know if this is a repeat grant or not. And then if we have any questions, we can ask you there, but maybe we can just go through that way.
Sure.
Okay.
So should I just start with 0550?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, great. So the first one, docket 0550, is for the FY21 Title 3C Nutrition Services. We had a change in amount. We actually got final allocations from the state in the last week and a half or so. And so I think some of the amounts are incorrect there. So we sent them over, but I want to just read the correct amount into record. It's $2,070,874. So $2,070,874. This money is money for the nutrition program. So there's multiple components to that program. It's nutrition counseling and education, as well as the kind of what you would call Meals on Wheels, right? So home delivered meals. So both the meal and that delivery piece, as well as congregate sites. So we have in non-COVID times, we have about 46 congregate sites where older adults can go and eat a meal for a suggested donation of $2. And so this is money that helps, that is part of, there's a bunch of streams of money, but this is one of the significant ones that goes to help to fund those programs. This is pass-through money for us. So it comes into the commission. We every 3 years we undergo an RFP process, and we are our vendors for this program currently are Ethos and the Chinese Golden Age Center. So they are the ones that are operating this program for us. So happy to take any questions about that if you have it, or I don't know how you.
Just briefly, I'm delighted to hear that Ethos and the Chinese Golden Age Center are our vendors. Work very closely with Ethos, which is in my district. I know for a fact Councilor Flynn works very closely with the Chinese Golden Age Center. Where are we? You said it's a 3-year contract. Where are we?
Yep.
These
Yeah, so
individuals?
we are actually about to go out to bid again. I will be starting that process this spring, and for new grants that start October 1.
Okay, fair enough. And both vendors have been great partners who've been awarded this before, so I anticipate that should continue. As I recall, last year we had a similar situation where the funding of the grant was higher than what was originally proposed. I think it's about a $250,000 increase. So just so you know, when we vote on this, we will vote for it in a new draft, a docket, a new draft, or I forget what the exact language is. And just briefly, how many of the Congregate sites are back up and are running now? I know some are, because I know some constituents have gone.
Yeah, so none are operating, or none should be operating for like sit down meals.
Yeah.
I think one is kind of doing that. They're right now they should all be still grab and go meals. So people can go, they can get a meal that they can bring home with them. They could choose to sit and eat it. But the Congregate sites right now are not up and operational. I say that, but there's actually been about a 40% increase in people utilizing our nutrition program services throughout COVID. So even though I say that the sites aren't operational, there's opportunity for grab and go meals. There's significant increase in home delivered meals. So we are, and our partners are really committed to making sure that older adults who need access to this food get it.
And to be fair, to not get anyone in trouble, it's a very dear constituent and a friend of both of ours, Emily, who is very active on Facebook, and he had a picture of many of his colleagues socially distanced, masked up in front of a site. So I assume they were just picking it up there and maybe having some nice outside conversation.
I'm sure that's what they were doing.
Exactly. Great. Councilor Flynn, any questions on the first docket?
No questions, a brief comment. Thank you, Commissioner. I was on just a quick story. I was on a meeting last night, and they asked me what my proudest accomplishment was in 3 years. And I said, well, not mine as an individual, but what the city, I think, did very well during this pandemic is provide nutritional food to so many residents during this difficult time, especially our seniors. So that's what I'm most proud of as a member of the Boston City Council, our outreach to people in need, especially on food access issues. So want to say thank you to your team. No comments or no questions, rather, Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you so much. And I see we've been joined by Councilor Julia Mejia as well. Welcome, Councilor Mejia, at large councilor. Commissioner Shea, if you'd like to go ahead to 0551.
Sure. Hi, Councilor Mejia. Welcome. So 0551 also has had a change in the amount. So that is the new amount is $1,946,262.24. And that is our state allocation for the state elder lunch program. So this is just another kind of funding stream that goes towards the same nutrition program. So this is the amount that comes from the state budget, and also what we do is again pass this money along to our nutrition program vendors.
Okay, great. So we still, in our notes, we still have the 1.4 million. So just before we take action, can maybe Mr. Thomas or Ms. Carlson or whomever get the correct, most up-to-date information to Ron Cobb from central staff, and we'll make sure it's reflected appropriately.
Yeah, I believe new dockets have been drafted, and we'll make sure those get over to you.
Those were, Chair, those were sent, by the way, to central staff and the chair.
Well,
Councilor Brennan, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, my pinch hitting, perhaps I got lost, but no, I appreciate that, Chantel, and to your team and IGR, and obviously the commissioner's team. So thank you for that. Councilor Flynn, any questions on 551?
Counselor O'Malley, no questions, no comments.
Fabulous. Councilor Mejia, so we're just going through, there's about 8 grants that we're going to go through, and the commissioner and her team's going one by one, but wanted to give you an opportunity if you had any opening remarks or questions on this particular grant, feel free to go.
No, thank you so much, Councilor O'Malley, for the opportunity to speak. I actually don't have any specific questions about this one, but I was listening in on the first one, but I was not upgraded to panelist. So I did hear in terms of some of the recipients, ethos, and there was another group in Chinatown mentioned, and I'm just curious for that other grants. Do you know, do you work in partnership with Villa de la Alegría and some of the other groups that are who are maybe smaller in size, but are also supporting some of our elders? Just curious about.
Yeah. So we don't I don't believe we work with the group you just named, Counselor. We do have a number of congregate meal sites across the city. And so they're at a number of different organizations. So for example, La Alianza Hispana has a meal site there, and IBA has a meal site there. So we do work with a number of different partners, and I'd be more than happy to kind of give a description or a briefing or whatever information you want about the program.
No, Emily, you guys do such a great job. I'd be feeling bad if I asked you to do even more. So you don't have to do that. I was just curious just to name a few of the elder groups that I've been in communication with and have worked, and was curious as to whether or not they have are any recipients of the funding that we're talking about today. But no worries. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Mejia. All right, Commissioner Shea, shall we move along to 0552?
Sure. So 0552, so this is our Council on Aging amount. So the amount there is the correct one, $1,056,840. So this comes to us because we are Boston's Council on Aging. It's a Council on Aging is a municipal title, and municipalities can elect whether or not they have a Council on Aging. So there's 350 across the state out of 351 cities and towns. And so this money comes to us by formula. So for all councils on aging, we get $12 per elder per year based on our 2010 census. That census will change as the new census numbers come in. But this is the money, this is some of the money that we use in addition, obviously, to our city operating dollars to maintain the operations of our department. So what we're doing with this money, we're using it for to fund a lot of our advocacy representatives. So folks that are helping to connect people to information, to different aging programs, to benefits. We're funding some of our housing team, people that are helping do housing applications and helping with landlord-tenant mediation. We are funding our communications team with this. So we know that access to information is really important for people. So we use this money to fund some of our communication staff and also our seniority magazine, which I think folks have seen, and to get information out across the city in lots of different languages. We know we have a really diverse population, so we do our best to make sure that we are communicating in ways that people that folks can understand. So communicating through communication channels, a variety of communication channels in a variety of languages, in large print, things like that. So this is important money for us, as you can see. It also helps with some of our activities and our programs. So just a whole host of different things for us, and we're really grateful that it comes to us from the state. So happy to take any questions on that.
I have a request, and my vote is not contingent on this request, but I have 8 months remaining being a city councilor, and I would love to get on the cover of Boston Seniority Magazine. I think Menino promised me, and then Walsh promised me, so we'll see.
Oh, we'll see.
Even if I'm in the background, dancing at the Ethos Senior Prom. Only question is $12 per year per elder.
Yeah.
And what is the age that determines an elder?
It's 60 and over.
60 and over. So I think that number should grow quite dramatically with as a result of the 2020 census.
Yeah, so I think so. So what the state has done in the past is kind of ratchet back the amount per elder. So we would love to keep it $12 per elder. I think if we did that, we would be seeing a good amount of money, and we certainly could use it to serve all the seniors out there in the community. But we'll see if they bring it back to $11 or to $10 per elder. I'm not sure what they'll end up doing. If they leave it at, if they leave the allocation, the line item at 17 million, it will go back to $9 per elder. And with the way the distribution will be, the projections are that Boston would lose money. So I do hope that they don't leave it at that.
Interesting. I mean, it seems to me that amount we are lucky that we have a lot of other revenue streams, but to a smaller municipality that depends on this money, it would seem like it would be devastating to actually have impactful programming.
Yeah, I mean, it's $12 per elder is, I think, not a lot to ask for, and I do hope that that even if they ratchet it back, that we get back up there eventually. We'd need $6 million in the state line item to get back up to $12 with the projections.
Relevant to this conversation, but we can follow up offline. I'm happy to circulate a letter with my colleagues to go to our colleagues at the state legislature to try to get that number at least met. Councillor Flynn, any questions?
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. I had one question, and sometimes I use these meetings as a way to educate the public as well. Commissioner, I know the important role as well of language and communication access in the city of Boston. I know you work closely with them as Commissioner of Age Strong. And again, I know the answer to this question, but I just want to ask it anyway. Why is it important for your office to communicate effectively and work closely with language and communication access?
Sure. I mean, obviously that's huge for us and huge for our constituents. We know that we have as of 2018, we had about 35.5% of our older residents speaking a language other than English at home. And we also know that of those, about 70% have said that they don't speak English very well. And so it's critical. It's critical that we both have a diverse team that speaks lots of different languages, that we we are an active user of the language line, and Francis will say our bills prove that from there, our invoices. We have, from when we go out in the field, we have translation headsets that we use, and we also have been grateful for a sizable language access budget every year, and we utilize that to its fullest extent. So it's an important thing for us.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate your response. Excellent response. Thank you, Councilor O'Malley.
Thanks, Councilor Flynn. Councilor Mejia, any questions on docket 0552?
Sorry, I'm on mute.
No worries.
So I do, following Councilor Flynn's question about language access, I see this in addition to the interpretation and the translation. and this is, I am always talking about this, so I'm sorry you're gonna hear it again. I'm also curious about not, most of our elders also have interrupted education, and some of them don't know how to read and write even in their native language. And so in terms of the communication, um, are you all also utilizing, how can you improve that outreach that also will include audio and visual ways to communicate with folks as well? Like,
Yeah, sure. That's a really good point, Counselor Mejia. And when we do our seniority magazine, we make sure to keep it at a 6th grade reading level and below. But you are right, there are large groups of older adults out there that do not read and write. And so we also make sure to work through community partners and to go out into the community. Obviously, it's a little bit harder during COVID times, but we try to work through networks and go out and actually talk to people in the community, to do presentations, and to work through our partner organizations who are on the ground to make sure we're getting the word out. I think in terms of, we have thought about using radio more. And I think that we probably could do that. And I think as we think about communications moving forward, that's one of the things that we've talked about and that we hope to use more. I also think we're really cognizant of the digital divide too. So while we do social media and sometimes post videos on there, we are cognizant that not everybody has access to that. So I think our rule of thumb is really to try to communicate in a lot of different ways, because we know different people hear different information in different ways and have access in different ways.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Mejia. Thank you, Commissioner. Moving right along to docket 0553.
Great. So this is for our Title 3B supportive services line. So again, this is part of our Older Americans Act money, and it is, we did recently get final allocations, so the amount for this has changed as well. It is now $1,006,875. So this Title 3B supportive services, we distribute in the same way. So we do go out to bid. We have been doing it every 2 years or so. We've been so we are not out to bid this year, but we will be the following year. This is our most flexible pot of money. So it really helps us to meet community needs in a wide range of places. We have a certain percentage of this money, and I think it's about 25%, Melissa. It's right around there, 20, maybe 24%. Of this pot of money that we are required to give to elder legal services. And right now our grantee for that is Greater Boston Legal Services. So they provide a lot of support to older adults who are struggling in a whole host of different issues. We also put a lot of this money out, and a number of our grantees do programming with this money. So recreation, exercise, helping with translation and interpretation, maybe helping folks, to read and understand their mail, or making sure that bringing in folks for health lectures that can be done in different languages. So we have probably about 10 of our grantees in this area who are doing that, different types of programming across the city. We fund organizations like Friendship Works and Generations Incorporated, who are really getting volunteers, and Ethos, who are getting volunteers and working with volunteers in different ways to support older adults in the community, or in the case of Generations, older adult volunteers who are supporting youth. We make sure that we have partners who can work with different segments of the community. So for example, we partner with Deaf Inc., with MAB, with IBA, with La Alianza Hispana, with Nuestra Comunidad, with Via Aid, with Greater Boston Chinese Golden Age Center. So just we want to be sure that we're partnering with people who have a wide reach into the community, so that we can touch older adults that we're not necessarily touching from our office and with our team. So again, that money is used for a lot of different things. I'm happy to answer any questions about it if folks have them.
No questions from me. Hello to Melissa's friend as well in the background. It's 10 grantees receive
that we fund for programming. It's a total, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4,
20.
19, 20, 21
Yes.
grantees receive money through Title IIIB, and then we also keep a portion of these funds internal to help to fund some of our staffing.
Great. And are they granted annually, or is it a multi-year commitment?
Yep. So what we have been doing is going out to bid for a year with an option to extend, and we will be extending this year. So the next time we're going to be up and going out to bid is next spring.
Excellent. No, and I asked that because it's important to note the incredible work, particularly the culturally competent work that you've helped support during this year of pandemic and helping seniors or older Bostonians, particularly those who may be isolated. So I really value that. Thank you for that. Councillor Flynn, any questions on docket 553?
No questions, no comments. You said what I was going to say, Councilor O'Malley. You said it perfectly. No further comments from me.
Great.
Thank you.
Councillor Mejia?
Sorry. Yeah, no, I do appreciate all of the hard work. I'm also always looking for opportunities to expand the pie in terms of the grantees, and just kind of would love to hear any ideas or strategies that you are working on to identify other groups that may not be part of your circle right now, beyond IBA and Alianza and some of the other folks that you've mentioned. What efforts are being made to identify new emerging organizations to support?
Sure. We certainly advertise in a number of different places when we go out to bid, Counselor, but I think that we are open to in between times. So these are federal funds, so it's not always the easiest application process. They are funds that we have to undergo an audit for, and there are a number of different pieces that need to remain in place. And so what we have done in the past is anybody who is interested in applying for these grants, we would love to talk with them when we're not out to bid, right? That is when we can really talk to organizations. That is when we can help walk them through the process, help them really understand how to be a successful applicant. And help to break down some of those barriers. Once we go out to bid, where our hands are a little bit tied in the conversations that we have. But I would welcome if you have organizations that you think might be interested in applying for some of this funding. Now is the perfect time for us to start those conversations and to get to know them and understand what they want to do kind of in the older adult in serving older adults or what they're already doing, and help them understand our process in terms of these Older Americans Act funds and how they can be a part of it. So would definitely welcome for you any recommendations of folks we should be talking to.
No, thank you for that. I'm also thinking of some of the efforts that I saw this past year through some of the churches.
Mhm.
So it may not be formal organizations per se that are doing direct service, but there are like churches that I've seen really step up in the elder care space as a result of COVID, because they have a lot of folks, parishioners that are going to their masses and things of that nature that have really picked up their game around elder support. So that was just an idea that just throwing it out there for y'all to consider.
Yeah, wonderful. Honestly, we love partnerships. So if there's folks we should be reaching out to, please let us know. We'd love to do it.
Thank you.
Great.
And even youth serving organizations, there are opportunities for some of the youth, and I've seen some youth organizations really also step up during the digital divide conversation, where they were creating peer mentoring programs with elders to teaching them about technology. I mean, there are a lot of organizations out there who you may not think are youth, are serving elders, but they are in many ways, and that could just be a way to expand the pie a little bit.
Yeah, and I will just, if you'll let me, I would just add, there is money out right now. We have a grant opportunity that we're partnering with the Digital Equity Fund. So the Age Strong Commission's been able to contribute $150,000 to the $250,000 pot. You can find out about it on digital.equity@boston.gov. So if there are people that are helping to bridge that digital divide, we would love for them to consider applying for a grant opportunity.
Great.
Thank you, Councilor Mejia. Commish, moving on, I misplaced, are we at 553 or 554?
Oh my gosh, where's my sheet? We are at
554.
Perfect, excellent.
Oh, this one's easy. So 554 is also Older Americans Act funding. It is our Title 3A, the Area Plan Administration. This amount has also increased. So it's $417,870. And this is essentially just admin money. So we have this network of 24 grantees. They submit invoices to us. It's cost reimbursement. We go over them line by line. It's so that we can pass our audits with flying colors. And so it's supporting a bunch of that work and our grant monitoring work, so that we can make sure that the grantees are using the money in the right way and that we're supporting them in meeting their goals.
That's great. How many employees do you have in your cabinet or in your
That's a good question. That's a good question. We have around 80 employees.
They're great. You serve the entire city well with that. Thank you. No questions on 554 from me. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. No questions, no comments from me.
Thank you. Councilor Mejia.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along to docket 50555, Commission.
All right, so this is a different program, not our Older Americans Act funds. So this is for our Senior Companion Program. And the amount for this has changed as well because we did get an increase in this also. It's $301,860. So this program is one of the AmeriCorps seniors programs, and we operate it. It's one of the two AmeriCorps seniors programs that we operate. We recruit volunteers age 55 and older, and they provide companionship to other more frail older adults so that they can stay living in the community and out of nursing homes. So they're providing a lot of support services to people, maybe picking up medication, helping to read their mail, helping just to support them and kind of be a friend and companion to them. This program is also an anti-poverty program. So it to be a senior companion, you need to be under 200% of the federal poverty level, and you get a tax exempt stipend of $3 an hour that doesn't impact any of the benefits that you're on or anything like that. So it's kind of a win-win for our companions. They volunteer an average of 20 hours a week, and they're just an incredible group of folks. Very diverse group of folks who are serving out there in the community on behalf of the city.
That's great. And I assume adaptations were made during COVID in terms instead of an in-person visit, maybe there was a phone call, maybe a Zoom, maybe some sort of a interaction that way.
Exactly. So they've been making a lot of phone calls. They also, some of them have gotten up and on technology and have gotten the folks, their companions up and on technology. We were able to get some tablets and modems out thanks to Do It, so that folks could do that. So that's been exciting, and we've been able to, thanks to AmeriCorps, we've been able to continue paying the stipend because it's really important to folks, and they've been able to continue to serve throughout the pandemic. So that's been important all the way around.
Great. Thank you for that. Councilor Flynn?
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. No questions, no comments. I'm very familiar with the program. It's an exceptional program. Thank you, Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Councilor Mejia?
No, I'm not that familiar with the program, but it sounds exciting. I can't wait to reach that age so that I can have a companion. Lord knows I need one. But I am curious about just in terms of just kind of the opportunity that exists for what the outreach looks like for people of diverse backgrounds and experiences, and kind of like that matchmaking with folks, and what that looks like.
Yeah. So as I said before, this is a really diverse program, and it's one of our volunteer opportunities that many of our companions do not speak English, and we're able to pair them with people that need assistance in their language. So the way these programs work, both this program and I think the next program we'll talk about, or the last program we'll talk about, RSVP, we recruit the volunteers, and then we have a host of what's called volunteer stations. And so we place a volunteer at the volunteer station, and it's that volunteer station that's then connecting the older adult with the person that needs the service in the community. And so we're always recruiting for volunteers and also volunteer stations. So if you have folks that are interested, and we have, I think for this program, volunteers need to do a 4-hour, they need to be in 4 hours of training a month. And we are doing those trainings in, I think, about 5 different languages right now, Melissa, am I correct? We have a translation at the trainings, and I think it's just a real opportunity for folks that want to serve. So please send folks our way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mejia. Thank you, Commissioner Shea. Moving right along to 0556.
Sure. So this is for, again, an Older Americans Act grant. It's for the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Service for this I think increased slightly as well. So it's $175,118. And that this is a really important program. Certainly we saw over the last year with all of the challenges going on in nursing homes. This program, our grantee for this program is Ethos. You have to be kind of certified to run this program, and they are the only organization certified in the city. So they've been running it for a while, but they do a great job. They recruit volunteers. Those volunteers are then trained and paired up with long-term care facilities, so nursing homes and rest homes throughout the community. And they're an ombudsman for the residents. So if the residents are experiencing any issues related to kind of their health, their safety, their welfare, their rights, they can go to this ombudsman, and that ombudsman will act as a mediator with the nursing home staff. So it's a really important program, and we're grateful to Ethos and to all the volunteers. I had an opportunity over the past year to get on the phone with all the volunteers and to hear their stories and to thank them for their service. And just, you know, they're pretty amazing folks.
Could not agree with you more strongly. I'm so proud to represent Ethos. Of course, after the retirement of the legendary Dale Mitchell, the new ED is actually one of my first staffers, Valerie Frias. So it's great to see the incredible work. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for that. Councillor Flynn.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. No questions. I'm very familiar with the work of Ethos as well, and just want to highlight what Councilor O'Malley mentioned. They do exceptional work across the city, especially during this difficult period. So thank you, Ethos.
Well said. Councillor Mejia.
Yeah, I would ditto Ethos. They're rock stars, and we do appreciate all their work. I see O'Malley's claiming them. O'Malley, I see you. But yeah, no, I don't have any questions or anything else to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Finally, for this hearing, docket 0557.
Yeah, so 0557 is for our retired seniors volunteers program, or better known as RSVP. So this is another one of our AmeriCorps seniors programs, and we are getting $137,753 for it. That money goes primarily to staffing, and then to some travel and meal stipends that volunteers receive for participating in the program. So this program, we recruit people over 55. And they volunteer in a whole bunch of impact-driven volunteer opportunities throughout the city. Similar to Senior Companions, we have volunteer stations across the city, and they volunteer out of those organizations, and are paired with a volunteer service. So they're doing a whole host of things. They're teaching English as a second language. They're doing some food delivery. They're doing some healthcare counseling. They're doing a bunch of companionship work, really making sure our older adults are engaged and connected. And then there are two actually new service opportunities that I just wanted to raise on this call, since I don't know how many people are watching us, but we're recruiting. We have two new programs that we are running. One is we're doing our volunteers are teaching opioid education and prevention workshops. And so it's a new module that we're testing today with our senior companions, who are going to give us a bunch of feedback on it. But we are looking for volunteers who want to run these workshops across the city. And we have a second one. It's called Money Smarts for Older Adults. And it's really about how to protect yourself and prevent scams. So that's a great program as well. And we're recruiting 55 and older volunteers who want to run those workshops too. So these are great volunteers, and it's a really fabulous program.
Excellent. In the pre-pandemic times, I would often see some constituents volunteering almost as docents or guides at Boston City Hall. Would these positions be under the RSVP program as well?
Some of those, I'm not sure that we had our senior greeters. Those are our senior greeters. And we probably could assign them up as RSVP, but we have to have work plans that are approved by AmeriCorps. So it's a little bit different. But those are our senior greeters. We love them too. They're fabulous. They're itching to come back to City Hall. They can't wait. They've told us they want to come in. They're all vaccinated. So we're just, when we get approval for that, they'll be back and help showing people the way.
Wonderful. Thank you. I have no questions on that. Final docket that we're going to discuss. Councillor Flynn.
One brief question relating to this topic, Commissioner Shea. I read an article in the newspaper yesterday, I believe. Massachusetts had the highest complaints from seniors about scams over the telephone or internet, exploiting seniors for money, basically. Maybe this is part of your outreach as well. But what, generally speaking, what are we doing to help our seniors, to educate our seniors about a lot of these scams that take place over telemarketers or over the telephone?
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons that we are starting these workshops, Counselor, because the police do go out, and their community service officers often talk to groups and talk about scams. But we do need to be raising visibility on it and talking to more folks about it. So that's why we're starting these Money Smarts workshops. It's an evidence-based workshop that was developed by the consumer. Actually, I'm not going to get it right, but it's an evidence-based workshop that a lot of people think is really successful. So it's one of the reasons we're doing that. We also work to promote scams, to promote information about scams through our social media and also through our seniority magazine, and to get the word out about them when we can. But it's a big problem, and we need to make sure people aren't taking advantage of older adults.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up, Commissioner. Again, I use this as a platform to educate residents. What information should anyone, but especially a senior, give out or not give out over the telephone to someone that's calling?
That's a good point. No one will ever ask for your social security number over the phone. So you should not be giving out any of your personal information over the phone. No one will ever ask you for that or call you for that. So I would say that's a big thing that people should be aware of. And there are a bunch of scams out there. So there's information. We have some in our office, and the police do as well. And there's a bunch online about the typical scams, and folks should educate themselves so that when they get that call and it's just too good to be true on the other end of the phone, it probably is.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I guess I have one request. Could you send me a little bit of background information? I want to do some more outreach to my seniors about these scams. At least I'm going to try to engage them a little bit and provide a workshop maybe sometime this spring or summer.
Sure, happy to do that. AARP actually has a great, really comprehensive website with a lot of the scams. So I would be happy to forward that over.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Commissioner Shea, I should tell you that Councilor Flynn tried to sell me a pass to the pool on the top of City Hall, and
yeah.
my eye on him as well. Thank you, Councilor Mejia. Do you have any closing or any questions on docket 557?
Yeah, no, I do wanted to kind of just ask around some of these volunteer opportunities. I think when I first started this job, I think I spoke to you about some of that. There are a lot of seniors who are grandparents and are having to take care of their kids because their children are unable to do so. And so they've become grandparents that are still parenting, and even at an older age. And so I'm just curious in terms of volunteers and support, how any of these dollars are able to help support some of our aging seniors who should be retired, but right now are the ones who have to take their grandkids to school and things of that nature. So I'm just curious about if any of the dockets or this particular docket that we're speaking about today, if there's any funding that will help support some of these grandparents that are providing care for their grandchildren.
Yeah, Counselor, so I don't think the ones we talked about today we have another grant that we will be back here talking about at another time. It didn't get in this list, but we do put out grant opportunities for what's called Title III caregiver funds. And we make sure that a percentage of that money goes to an organization that is supporting grandparents raising grandchildren or kind of kinship care relationships. And so right now our vendor for that, our grantee is MSPCC. And so we'd be happy to send you some information about that program and what it does and what it can do to help support the folks you're talking about.
Yeah, no, thank you. I was just thinking in terms of like the workshops and some of the volunteer hours that can go towards helping some of these grandparents.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea to reach out to them reach out to that group about whether or not the grandparents want to participate in some of the Money Smarts workshops that might be, or even the opioid education and prevention workshops, and we can certainly make that connection.
Thank you, Commissioner
You're
Shea.
welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Mejia. So, Commissioner, Mr. Thomas, Ms. Carlson, thank you for your incredible work. Obviously, we support all of these, and I'll be talking to the chair, but urging action on these items at next Wednesday's council meeting. I will reiterate this as we get more immersed in our budget season, but Commissioner Shea, I really want to particularly admire you on behalf of your incredible team. This last year has been so difficult for all of us. And just the resource you were to me and the 74,000 people whom I represent, a quarter of whom, at least in West Roxbury, are seniors, are age strong. You've been great. You've been effective. You've been nimble. You've worked. As Councilor Flynn said, we've been able to make sure we've had food access, even helping get individuals to get their vaccine, to get tested. We worked in hand, as you know, as viewers may know, in my district, we have a high percentage of older Bostonians. We also have a number of independent senior living facilities that are often abutting with a more skilled care. So we made sure that those individuals had help, as we saw some devastating numbers a year ago, and continue to. But I just really wanted to remark publicly what I've said privately is you've been just remarkable, and we are so grateful. On behalf of the council, we're so grateful to you and your team for your leadership during this incredibly challenging year. So thank you for that. Before I turn it over, if there's any closing statements from my colleagues, I wanted to thank both your staff and central staff. I do have the Excel spreadsheet which delineates what the changes are. I guess one thing that I would just ask is that it looks like with the exception of the third grant, which is the same 552, 5 of the grants have funding amount changes, and then the other 2 have the same allocation, but funding source changes. So is that a typo, or is it, if you want to speak on that?
So sure. So first of all, thank you for the kudos. And I would just say it's definitely a team effort. And so thanks to my team. But yes, so it's the Corporation for National and Community Service has changed its name to AmeriCorps.
Gotcha.
So it's not a change in funding source, it's a change in name of the funding source.
Much like Elderly Commission / Age Strong.
Exactly. They've rebranded.
Perfect. And then in terms of sort of the other amounts, we don't have to do it now. You may have touched upon them in your remarks, but just before Wednesday, if we can just, if through your team, and Francis, this will probably fall on your shoulders. Just get like a blurb in terms of why the funding source changed from the time these dockets were introduced a couple weeks ago to now. I'm sure it just has something to do with the way the funds are allocated, but just something that we can incorporate into our committee report, urging passage of these.
I think the increase was, we usually get a preliminary allocation, and as we go into the year, we get a final allocation from EOEA, and that's the primary reason for the changes.
Sure. No, again, I mean, it doesn't change our enthusiastic support, but to help our team as we have to put a committee report together as a result of this, if maybe we could circle back with your office and make sure we have the right verbiage. And again, I was chair of this committee. I remember it happening last year. I believe it was just 2 dockets last year. So maybe change in leadership at the federal level has allowed for greater changes across the board, which we celebrate. So thank you for that. Any concluding remarks, Councillor Flynn?
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Councilor O'Malley, thank you for chairing this important hearing as well. Thank you to Councilor Mejia and to the dedicated professionals at Age Strong. 2 quick comments. About a month ago, maybe a little longer, I was in your district, Councilor O'Malley, was at the VA hospital on Huntington Avenue, South Huntington Avenue there, and the van pulled up, the Age Strong van pulled up and dropped off a patient that was going in to get a COVID shot and waited professionally and waited patiently and came back. I had the opportunity to talk to that van driver. His last name actually was from your district again. His last name, Matt, was Mulligan, Seamus Mulligan's brother. I don't know if you know Seamus. I forget this gentleman's first name. But this van driver for Age Strong was very professional, very accommodating, and represented the residents of Boston exceptionally well. So, it's a great reflection on the Commissioner Shea and her team, but those are the types of dedicated city employees that we have in Boston. Thank you, Council.
No, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for highlighting Mr. Mulligan. That's great feedback. Councilor Mejia, any concluding remarks? I don't believe she's muted, but there could be some connectivity. So unless Councilor Mejia is able to join us, I will, I'm sure, pass along her thanks to everyone involved. Commissioner Shea, you may be the longest serving commissioner now.
Oh.
You and I started around the same time, and I think you're probably the longest serving. So
Potential.
yeah.
Sorry, my internet died, so I'm sorry. My internet died, and so I don't want to be disruptive, but
not at all. Please, if you have any concluding remarks or comments, Councilor Mejia, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you to Commissioner Shea and your entire staff. I think that oftentimes our seniors are an afterthought, but I am so incredibly encouraged by all of the hard work that your team does every single day to ensure that our elders are front and center of every conversation. And so so thank you for all your hard work. We really do appreciate it. And being in partnership, I know that my office has reached out and we've worked with you in different capacities. So just thank you for your partnership.
Great. Thank you. Thanks to you all. I mean, you guys are fabulous. So.
Well, you do good work. We're happy to support it. Thank you for your long service and to your entire team. As the vice chair of the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities, I will be urging the chair to act quickly and favorably on these 8 dockets. And the hearing on dockets 0550, 51, 52, 53, 54, 56, and 57 is hereby adjourned. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
councilors.
Thank you.